every ending marks a new beginning. Let the learnings of today illuminate the path to tomorrow. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to one and all present here. I am Ms. Lucy Boro, Assistant Professor from the Program of Psychology, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Assam Downtown University. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the valedictory ceremony of the two-day National Conference on Sustainable Development Goals and Community Engagement towards Mitigating Local and Global Crisis. At this moment, I would like to welcome our esteemed dignitaries. Firstly, we have amongst us our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Pranveer Singh. We also have amongst us our Chief Guest, Professor Saswati Chaudhary Ma'am, Director of OKD Institute of Social Change and Development, Guwahati, our esteemed Deans of various faculties, and my dear colleagues, paper presenters, and all my beloved students. Over the past 2 days, we have explored a wide spectrum of ideas from sustainable livelihoods and mental health to environmental resilience and inclusive development. Each session has been a reminder that academic discourse has the power to influence real-world change. Let us now formally commence the session. I invite you all to join us in acknowledging the contributions and collective spirit that made this conference a success. At this juncture, I would like to request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir, Chief Guest Ma'am, and Dean Ma'am to kindly come up on the dais and take their respective seats. We would like to honor our chief guest present here today. So I would like to request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir, to kindly felicitate our chief guest, ma'am, with a full-on gamusa and a memento. Let us all give a huge round of applause. Thank you, sir and ma'am. To encapsulate the highlights, themes, and outcome of this vibrant two-day event, I now invite our conference convener, Dr. Pratiti Burman ma'am, Dean in Charge, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, to present the conference report. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Lucy. Warm good afternoon to our guest, Professor Saswati Baido, and our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir. So it gives me immense pleasure to read out this report as the convener of this seminar. We had around 60 papers during these 2 days presentations. One session was online and rest of them were all the technical sessions happened offline. The first day, the inaugural session of the National Conference began promptly at 10:30 a.m. with an atmosphere of warmth and anticipation. The session was graciously moderated by Ms. Lucy Boro, who extended a heartfelt welcome to all dignitaries, guests, faculty members, students, and participants. Her opening remarks captured the spirit and shared responsibility at the heart of the theme of the National Conference. Following was a Saraswati Bandana, a melodious devotional song infusing the gathering with sense of peace and solemnity that reflected the deeper spiritual and ethical dimension of the sustainability. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Narayan Chandra Talukdar, felicitated the guest of honor, Dr. R. Murugesan, Director, NIRDP, NERC with a memento and gamosa and extended a warm gesture of respect and appreciation. The welcome address was delivered by the convener, Dr. Pratiti Burman. In her address, Dr. Burman warmly welcomed all the participants and briefed on the significance and relevance of the conference theme, emphasizing from local to global crisis. The guest of honor, Dr. R. Murugesan, delivered an insightful and thought-provoking message on the importance of sustainable development from bottom-up approach, followed by Honorable Vice Chancellor delivered an inspiring address on the Mother Earth's sustained human life and our economic growth should align with ecological responsibility. And also extended warm wishes to all the guest participants for a pleasant stay and fruitful engagement during the conference. The session concluded with a vote of thanks delivered by Dr. M.K. Dev, Assistant Professor, Program of Psychology, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. He expressed sincere gratitude to the dignitaries, keynote speakers, organizing committee, participants, and supporting staff of the university. The first technical session commenced at 12 noon and it was chaired by Dr. Pratiti Burman and moderated by Dr. Kunal Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, on the theme of psychosocial well-being and social support. A total of 8 research papers were presented. The paper presenters in this session explored the psychosocial challenges faced by diverse groups like cancer patients, adolescents, young professionals, college students, child laborers, rural women, school dropouts, and young adults affected by generational trauma. The studies emphasize the importance of emotional intelligence, internal locus of control, feminist pedagogy, and sustainable livelihood models in enhancing psychological resilience and well-being. Overall, the session highlighted the need for inclusive policies, context-sensitive and mental health interventions, and support-based frameworks to foster individual and collective well-being. Three parallel technical sessions was conducted from 2 p.m. onwards on different sub-themes, and these were Rethinking Development, chaired by Dr. Joydeep Goswami, Professor of Faculty of Commerce and Management. And next one was on, these were parallel sessions. Next one was on Sustainable Livelihoods, Economy and Community-Based Initiatives. It was chaired by Dr. M.K. Srivastava, NIRD, PR. And next one was on Climate Action, Environmental Sustainability and Agriculture, which was chaired by Professor Khem Bahadur Pun, Dean, Faculty of Agricultural Sciences and Technology, Assam Downtown University. The papers presented under the 3 themes reflected a holistic and interdisciplinary approach to sustainable development. Under Rethinking Development, scholars explored innovative pathways such as green banking, sustainable energy transitions, AI in education, and critical evaluations of academic rankings, emphasizing the need for inclusive and future-oriented developmental models. Under the Sustainable Livelihood, Economy and Community-Based Initiatives theme, it was highlighted grassroots empowerment through community-based tourism, dairy enterprises, women-led entrepreneurship, and occupational mobility of rural-urban migrants in Assam. Meanwhile, the Climate Action, Environmental Sustainability and Agriculture theme focused on environmental resilience through carbon capture technologies, ecological insights from literature. Collectively, these studies advocated for context-specific, community-driven, and ecologically responsible developmental strategies. The first day of our national conference was successfully concluded, marked by insightful presentation with active discussion, exchange of knowledge, and meaningful academic scholarly interaction. Day 2, that is on 25th of June. Today, the technical session report of first session, that is from 10 a.m. onwards, and there were parallel sessions at this, but during that period of time. And these themes were sustainable development goals and community engagement. These themes were, basically one was on health and mental well-being, where 8 papers were being presented. which was chaired by Professor Mansi Sengupta, Dean, Faculty of Nursing, Assam Downtown University. This session delved into multifaceted dimensions of physical and psychological health, mental well-being, especially on vulnerable and marginalized populations. Several papers emphasize the importance of community-based mental health support systems and integration of local cultural understanding into health interventions. Discussions further explored the role of social determinants in shaping health and mental well-being. Parallel technical session 3 online mode, where a total 15 papers were presented on wide-ranging social issues. This was chaired by Dr. Pratiti Burman, and this technical panel session comprised a series of thought-provoking presentation addressing critical issues concerning child poverty, malnutrition, lived experiences of gender, trauma among widows, climate change, food security, indigenous traditional ecological knowledge, child trafficking, building resilience for sustainable cities, health challenges of the mothers looking after the disabled child, digital inclusion and technology empowerment for self-help groups, implication of international investment treaties on sustainable development goals, artificial intelligence in uplifting women with disabilities, challenges of shifting cultivation in terms of sustainability, addressing adolescent suicide through mental health strategies, effect of parental divorce on children in terms of their mental health and coping strategies. All the presenters, through their empirical research and secondary studies, have highlighted the challenges in an effective practical solution to all of these complex social issues pertinent for building a resilient, sustainable society. Technical session 2, where theme was gender, youth, child rights and social justice. This was chaired by Professor Seema Sharma, Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Management, Assam Downtown University. This session brought together a rich collection of interdisciplinary perspectives around gender equality, youth empowerment, and safeguarding children's rights. Researchers presented on themes such as gender-based violence, youth participation in governance, and the need for right-based approaches in education and protection system. The concept of social justice was critically examined through the lens of intersectionality, emphasizing how age, gender, and socioeconomic background intersect to shape individual life outcomes. Notably, the role of policy advocacy and legal reforms in ensuring equitable access to rights and services were strongly advocated. Out of 60 participants registered, 52 papers were presented. Few could not make it due to their unavoidable circumstances. So this was the report of these 2 days of our national conference. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the comprehensive and thoughtful summary of our academic journey over the last 2 days. It is now our privilege to welcome the special guest of the valedictory session, Professor Saraswati Chaudhary, ma'am, a distinguished academician, researcher, and policy thinker who currently serves as the professor and acting director of the OKD Institute of Social Change and Development, Guwahati. Professor Chaudhary completed her PhD with a fellowship from the Indian Institute of Bank Management, Guwahati, and has been associated with the OKD Institute since 2002. In August 2020, she assumed charge as the acting director of the institute, where she continues to lead with vision and scholarly excellence. With over 2 decades of research experience, Professor Chaudhary has spearheaded more than 25 research studies covering a rich and diverse range of areas such as regional development, gender studies, forest and environment, governance, health economics, and the economics of education. Her work has been widely published in reputed journals, edited volumes, and research monographs. Among her many contributions, her acclaimed book, Education for Capability, Myth and Reality of Social Education in Assam, critically examines the evolution of social education in Assam from colonial times to the present. Another noteworthy volume she has edited, which is Mainstreaming the Northeast in India's Look and Act East Policy, published by Palgrave Macmillan, Singapore, reflects her extensive engagement with issues of sub-regional cooperation and Northeast India's role in national policy discourses. In addition to her research and leadership roles, Professor Chaudhary also serves as the chief editor of Social Change and Development, a peer-reviewed journal published by the Institute, which continues to be an important platform for contemporary social science scholarship in the region. We are truly honored to have her with us as our chief guest, and we look forward to gaining from her insights and experience. May I now request Dr. Chaudhary ma'am to kindly deliver the valedictory address. Please, ma'am.
Thank you. Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Assam Downtown University, Honorable Dean, Humanities and Social Science, and one of OKD's very close associate, Dr. Pratiti Burman, esteemed teachers of Assam Downtown University, dear students, scholars, and invited guests here. It's indeed a great privilege for me to be here today to share my ideas and thoughts on a very important topic for the last 2 days that we have deliberated upon during the national seminar, Sustainable Development Goals and the Community Engagement. And I think it's one of the very critical juncture at which you took up this important theme as your seminar, and the report which Dr. Burman read out really shows the vast area which the 2-day proceedings covered, and I'm sure this is really going to be a very, very enlightening experience, and I would be happy if we could see Downtown University coming up with an edited volume from this seminar, because we really need good papers from this region when addressing this issue. And I congratulate the university, the Pro Vice Chancellor, and the Dean for really taking up this topic and holding this 2-day national seminar. And it's in fact a very beautiful, magnificent view standing here, to see the Brahmaputra flowing, and what could be more beautiful than being in the midst of nature and holding this seminar for the. And I think that's the best you could have really related to your environment, development goals, and sustainability. So I'll just begin with something very basic, which is the basic imprints that the mankind leave on the Earth's surface. Now, if we look into the global ecological footprint per person, which stands at 2.77 global hectare, and India's biocapacity is 0.3 global hectares, and ecological footprint is 1.1 global hectare. What does this mean? This means there's a deficit in biocapacity of both India as well as the global level. Now, what happens when our biological capacity is less than the ecological footprint? We have a difficulty of a sustainable development. And the ecological footprints increased sharply since the decade of the 1990s. If we look into this global data, we can see this. In other words, higher the exploitation of bioresources compared to its replenishment, higher is the ecological footprint.
And more technologically advanced countries, higher is the ecological footprint and greater is the challenge of a sustainable development. Now, while economic and social dimensions found reflections in the concept of human development and ultimately gelled into the Millennium Development Goal, we remember, if you recall, we had the MDG before the SDG came in. International efforts to deal with environmental issues proceeded along a different track. Now, while MDG was focusing on poverty, improvement of human development indexes and all that, environment was left out of this purview. And the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, Convention on Biodiversity, etc. started taking up this issue. While this bifurcation and its advantage did not prove beneficial in the long run for either development or environment, and the Rio 20 conference came forward with the proposal to formulate the Sustainable Development Goals, and we have the 17 SDGs today, which carry on the work which was started by the MDGs, which galvanized into a global campaign from 2000 to 2015 to end poverty. While MDG only applied to developing countries, the SDGs apply universally to all the UN member states and are considerably more comprehensive in its coverage. Now, while the SDG maintains the thematic work on poverty eradication by targeting eradication, they reflect a more comprehensive perspective looking for sustainable life on this planet. The SDG thus focuses on global development and for sustainability, demonstrate an understanding that the environment is not an add-on or in opposition to sustainable development, but rather it is the base that underpins all other goals of development. As a result, while MDG maintained retrospectively a narrow focus on poverty reduction, the SDG includes new themes which reflect an approach that sees the environment, economy, and society as an embedded system rather than separate competing pillars for developmental thrust. Further, the ecological footprint in developed countries is rising at a faster pace than in developing countries, and environmental boundaries have been breached, and the breaches are widening and spreading to more fronts. Secondly, these breaches are mainly due to the cumulative impact of unsustainable consumption pattern in the developed countries. Third, the efforts by the developing countries to emulate the developed countries in the consumption pattern aggravates the breaches further. For example, if I just give you a small statistics, under the current production technology, if the whole world wanted to consume at the level at which UK consumed in the year 2001, we would require resources equivalent to 15 planets like that of the Earth, if we want to go at that level. So you can imagine the amount of ecological footprints we are leaving and the amount of biocapacity resources that are available at our hand. Now, there are two arguments in this regard. The first argument says that the Earth's resources are limited in an ultimate sense, and what matters at a particular point of time is the availability of the resource, which depends on use of science and technology. And progress in technology can increase the availability of resources and its economical use over time. The second argument is counter to the first and states that through improved technology and policies, it is possible to increase the efficiency of resource use and reduce the volume of waste. Now, this idea of increasing resource efficiency has led to the notion of decoupling growth from resource use, waste generated, but evidence shows that volume of resource used and waste generated continues to increase over time. So there is no evidence of decoupling what we are talking of. And poverty reduction, which lies at the heart of all development intervention, proves difficult because too little of income growth reaches the poor due to highly unequal distribution of assets and income. And in that context, how do we ensure a sustainable development? Just again another small example. Now, for every $100 worth of goods, $100 worth of growth in the world's per capita income during the phase of 1981 to 1990, the decade, the poor received only $2.20. So every $100 that was the income that was generated, the poor household received only $2.20. During the next decade, 1990 to 2001, this decreased further, where the poor household received only $0.60. $0.60. So we can well see what is the distribution pattern really working out to be. Because inequality does increase this. Hence, breaches in the environmental boundaries will widen long before the poverty challenge can be met. So we can see how, the more the poverty boundary widens, the more environmental breaches will take place. And your sustainable development becomes a real challenge. Just as environmental boundaries are fixed, human beings are bounded in terms of their physical parameters. There is a limit to the amount of food a person can consume, number of clothes one can wear, and physical space one can live on. Once those limits are reached, further increase do not always increase an individual's well-being, instead may cause problem. For example, one can see this with regard to food consumption. Excessive calorie intake in many rich countries has led to the problem of obesity with negative consequences of health. So well-being does not really depend on material consumption only. Instead, much depends on relationship, on one's standing in family, community, and society. There are several studies across the globe which have shown that after a threshold level, increase in ecological footprints does not lead to commensurate increase in human development. Life expectancy will not increase by that much after a threshold level of per capita income has been reached. So no matter how much the per capita income increases, the life expectancy is not going to go up by that level, same level of increase. So the sustainability problem that human society faces now is not the result of recent events. If we think that these are recent phenomena, it's not recent phenomena. In fact, if you go back to the pages of history, we have to go back till the time of Industrial Revolution, because this entire process began with Industrial Revolution. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, what was the human society? It was on a relatively horizontal trajectory. But the Industrial Revolution catapulted it on a vertical trajectory, triggering exponential growth in population, per capita income, amount of resources consumed, and the volume of waste generated. From the narrow technological point of view, it represented a transition from small-scale production based on human and animal power to large-scale production based on machines run by non-animated power, obtained mostly through fossil fuel. No wonder, therefore, the Industrial Revolution led to the unprecedented increase in the volume of production and consumption, which, one of the famous economists, Kuznets, calls the modern economic growth. Now, there's a well-known scholar, Karl Polanyi, who lived, in 1945. He offers a very penetrating analysis of this entire upheaval done by the Industrial Revolution. He writes that while previously economy was embedded in social relationship, following the Industrial Revolution, social relations became embedded in economic systems. That means social relations now started to be dictated by the economic systems, unlike the pre-industrial period when the economic system was dictated by the social relationship. So in plain terms, while previously society controlled economy, now economy gained control over the society. The distinctiveness of this new economy was that it was the market economy motivated by private material gain. And as a result, what emerged was a market society. But markets had existed before. but markets were mere additions to the society and economy. With Industrial Revolution, markets became dominant over the societies, which led to this whole debate around sustainable development. Now, this fundamental transformation came through conversion of people, nature, and the medium of exchange into commodities. Thus, people became labor, nature became land, and medium of exchange became money. Polanyi termed labor, land, and money as fictitious commodities and thought that to protect people and nature, it was necessary to re-establish control of society over the economy. The way to do so, in his view, was to disestablishment of the commodity status of labor, money, and land, and restoring them as people, nature, and medium of exchange. Now, it is not necessary to agree with all that Polanyi's analysis and recommendations, but there is no escape from the fact that sustainability requires climbing down from the vertical trajectories to which the human society has been put on by the Industrial Revolution. It is true that total human population is expected to stabilize at something 9 billion by 2050. But this vertical trajectory in other dimensions are likely to continue and aggravate the breaches in planetary boundaries unless societal changes take place. Of course, re-embedding economy in society does not mean going back to pre-industrial societies. It also does not mean abandoning the markets altogether. What is needed is a paradigm change in the way we look at development. So paradigms of social inclusion and community engagement to ensure an equitable distribution of resources without endangering the ecological footprint therefore assumes critical importance. While acknowledging that economic growth is insufficient for inclusive development, SDG recognizes that pathways to poverty reduction, greater income equality, and decent employment will vary across nations and countries. No one-size-fits-all program will accomplish the goals in all settings. We cannot have one, simple template to be applied for all countries, all states, and at all local levels. For instance, microcredit, if we take this, rests upon conditions of social trust. Collective wage bargaining cannot take place without unionization, and gender mainstreaming may be difficult to achieve in societies where women are spatially segregated. Legal arrangements can hinder anti-discrimination complaints or formation of social enterprises. So without state capacity and community participation, it is next to impossible to enforce redistributive justice. The most common social policies around the world are minimum income, public education, and healthcare program. Yet, even these are part of context-specific welfare regimes where community-based institutions can be proactive agents to change and ensure inclusive, sustainable growth for the community and the nation at large. Now, voluntary organizations and NGOs in India, we have seen, through community engagement, have been very proactive in helping rural communities develop sustainable basic services such as, solar electrification. If you go to villages, you can see across these things happening with community participation, clean water, education, sanitation, livelihoods through self-help group promotion, while encouraging activism and women's empowerment. Now, different countries, we must understand, have different social structures, and some are more diverse than the others. What may appear as universal tendency to homophily or preference to interact with people of similar to oneself, but this may not give rise to social inclusion even in relatively homogeneous social settings. So social inclusion and cohesion and diversity in the local setting have social and cultural as well as economic effects which a sustainable developmental strategy cannot afford to ignore. So social and communal cohesion and communal organizations are necessary to increase the social and community control and collective efficacy in an area, which in turn can reduce crime and wasteful resource use. The impact of diversity on social and communal inclusivity, social capital, and intergroup trust plays a very critical role. Diversity increases contact between insiders and outsiders who, if socioeconomically similar, will interact, become familiar, and abandon stereotypes. Experience from around the globe shows that prototypical context for such local interaction is often the voluntary, civic, and community organization. For example, if you can see it mostly in school education, parents of children who attend the same school often organize for some common goals for upliftment, development of the school. Residents of the same area may organize for improvement of street light, need for water, sewage, lighting, garbage removal, safety, and other collective goods. So what is the entire thrust of the Sustainable Development Goals begins with the community level at the local level. So it begins, it's not something the state government or the local governments are going to are the responsibility who are only solely responsible. It begins with the community engagement. So small victories on practical matters build trust and teach people of diverse backgrounds that they can cooperate across differences and ensure provisioning of the basic requirements on education, health, sanitation, women's rights, and decent life for a sustainable ecological space. Local participation in community development has become the central theme in the international movement for inclusive sustainable development. It is assumed that participation in an empowering, inclusionary, and democratic means to progressive way ends unintended consequences of lopsided development. While community engagement is important and instrumental, there is a caveat. Excluded groups within the community face multiple interrelated disadvantages, impeding their empowerment and social capital formation. They lack resources of time, money, culture, information, context, and rights. They're fragmented by what we see in a region, ethnicity, language, and other cultural differences. They are fearful of both the state and the dominant communal groups that replace them. Therefore, outreach and community organizing efforts in depressed areas often fail to deliver what is expected of the Sustainable Developmental Goals. Incorporation in organized decision-making does not guarantee high levels of participation and direct grassroots participation of powerless people, and other forms of social inclusion do not ensure redistributive, inclusive, and proper policies. Therefore, increased association and public community participation in such cases may not benefit the poor if there is an unequal power structure embedded within that particular communal or the community life and the social setup. It is a fact that community members mostly possess an extensive, comprehensive knowledge on the local ecosystem and available resources. If we go, across Assam and you ask people, do you want an embankment? Do you want what kind of embankment? They said, we would prefer to live with the floods rather than putting up embankments, and every year there is a bridge. Because historically, people in Assam have learned to live with floods since the 16th and the 17th century. So modern technologies which are driven there without an understanding of the local system is likely to deliver results which at best are less competent. And this kind of available knowledge base and their contributions can assist planners in pinpointing potential challenges and opportunities during the design phase, thereby offering guidance and in more precise feedback to the planners. In the area of land resource management, we can go back and, there's an interesting case study of the King's Cross area in London. It's a rail hub in London which provides an interesting case study of how community participation helped it in influencing sustainable urban land development. Now, this area once was dotted with derelict buildings and displaced residents, and it was often known for the ill reasons of drug dealing and prostitution. But this same area was revitalized through a partnership between public, community, and the private ownership. The private residents who were there. So community engagement at its core in this area facilitated planners to work closely with local residents and organizations to ensure that the development meets the needs of the community residing there and that the local voices were at the forefront of the project. The region successfully met the aims of tackling community safety concerns by integrating diverse area of architectural styles, merging superior design with vibrant, secure and appealing street arrangements and public open spaces, while also adhering to the principle of sustainable development. This is a case which happened in 1990s. Ultimately, affordable housing and social facilities such as schools, healthcare facilities were incorporated into the redevelopment scheme to achieve an efficient and effective use of the land resource in that area. So while meeting the immediate needs of these local residents for education and health infrastructure, what it emphasized and took care of was to avoid the long-term displacement of some residents who were residing there. In the name of development, no displacement took place. And therefore, we were occupying streets, etc. And they worked on alternative ways to ensure an unaffected normal functioning of the society, accommodating the people who were already settling. So this is what is a sustainable development model, focusing on community participation and how an embedded system of the social structure could really address the necessity. Therefore, in respect of a thematic thrust areas as envisioned in the SDG, like issues of water management, the local residents are likely to be more concerned about the long-term benefits and environmental protection and have a clearer understanding of water sources and rainwater harvesting, for example. Now, when communities engage in planning, they can effectively tailor programs to reflect the needs of the residents there, maximizing the benefits for all. Conversely, centralized planning, as we have seen often, fails to integrate the theory with local realities, leading to unsuitable outcomes that may hinder sustainable development and harm the environment contrary to community interest. What happens often, we outsource these programs to external agencies who have very little idea on how things can be really looked into the local context. And that's where the necessity of community engagement is so emphasized so far as the sustainable development goal is concerned. The community participation, therefore, strengthens accountability mechanism where planners can be subjected to public scrutiny. This ensures that the voices of different social groups, especially the disadvantaged, are heard and avoid the concentration of interest in the hands of specific groups of elites so as to reduce inappropriate planning behaviors and decision-making blunders, which we have seen across all around, and to a great extent prevent the planners from using their public office for private gain and ensure an equitable distribution of resources for reaching SDGs aimed at ameliorating the inequality between biocapacity and ecological footprints from a local to a global scale. Therefore, what is important is community participation because it increases public recognition and support for the planning authority and therefore reduces the resistance and difficulties in project implementation and helps in achieving a sustainable development in a more low carbon, environment friendly and resident approved way. I'll stop here. Thank you for your patient listening.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for inspiring us and gracing this occasion with such depth and clarity. Now, we are honored to hear from a leader whose academic vision and unwavering support have shaped many such initiatives at Assam Downtown University. I warmly welcome our Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, to kindly share a few words with us. Sir, please.
Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Saraswati, Ma'am, Director, OKD, Institute of Social Change and Development, Guwahati, Dr. Pratiti Varman, Dean of Humanities, distinguished speakers, faculty members, colleagues, and my dear students. Good afternoon, one and all. It gives me immense pleasure and a sense of responsibility to be present here today for the validity session of the two-day National Conference on Sustainable Development Goals and Community Engagement towards Mitigating Local and Global Crises, organized by Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in collaboration with the IQAC at Assam Downtown University. At that outset, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the organizers, particularly the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences and IQAC, for conceptualizing and successfully executing such a timely and relevant academic gathering. This conference, I believe, has not only opened up new avenues for interdisciplinary dialogues but also reflected our collective academic commitment to the broader goals of sustainability, equity, and global well-being. The theme of this conference resonates deeply with the spirit of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure peace and prosperity to all. The 2030 Agenda is not just an international development blueprint, it is a shared moral responsibility, and I am proud that our university is playing an active role in contributing to this mission through such scholarly engagements. Its relevance is further enhanced as that Assam Downtown University decided to move for QS World Ranking. Over the past 2 days, we have witnessed engaging keynote addresses, 7 insightful technical sessions, and more than 50 paper presentation and rich discussion that touched upon pressing local and global challenges. I am certain that interaction have sparked new ideas, encouraged interdisciplinary perspectives, and more importantly, strengthen our resolve to act meaningfully and locally. Ma'am has rightly said that there is a conflict between environmentalist, socialist with industrialist since the start of the Industrial Revolution. And as it gives that the greed over and above that the natural requirement of the resources. So I hope so that during this conference such kind of thoughts have been sparked and taken in account. What stands out to me is the emphasis this conference placed on community engagement, a pillar often overlooked in academic discourse. For development to be truly sustainable, it must be inclusive, particularly and deeply rooted in the lived experience of people. Our universities and institutions must therefore strive to move beyond that marginalized to co-create solutions that are contextually relevant and sustainable. As we are towards the end of this conference, I urge each one of you to carry forward the insights gained here into your own sphere of work, engagement. Let us not allow this conference to be end here, but rather the beginning of a larger conversation, an ongoing commitment to action, research and advocacy. On behalf of the university, I express my sincere gratitude to all the eminent speakers, participants and session chairs who contributed their knowledge and time to enrich this conference. I also commend the tireless effort of organizing committee whose dedication ensured the success of this event. Before I conclude, let me reiterate that Assam Downtown University remains deeply committed to fostering socially relevant, environmentally conscious and community-driven education and research. Together, let us become catalysts for the change and lead with purpose in the journey towards a more just, sustainable and resilient world. Thank you once again for your participation and contribution. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir, for your ever-encouraging presence and wise reflections. Now, we move on to the much-awaited segment, that is the certificate distribution of all the presenters. Now, I request all the dignitaries to kindly remain on stage as we take the opportunity to acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of those who made this conference a meaningful experience. As I take the names of the presenters, I request you to kindly come on stage one by one for the certificates. Firstly, I would also like to request our Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, to please give out the certificates to our dear presenters. First up, we have Dr. Nabanita Chaudhary. Absent? Did she leave? Nabanita Chaudhary, please come up on stage. Next, we have Biswajyoti Das. Next up, Shantanu Sharma. Dr. Manas Pratim Kashyap. Elizabeth Nagori. Pratishtha Pradhan. Prerna Limbu. After that, we have Nikita Chetri. Nikita Chetri. Next we have Gitartha Pratim Khusre. Bornali Borua. Bornali Borua. Kuntalika Bora. No, sorry, continue. We have Kuntalika Bora, sorry. Then we have Nilakshi Teron. Dr. Samanoy Borua. Imyanshi Mani. Absent. Okay. Next we have Kanishka Kundrakpam. Thank you, Kanishka. Sir, you may please take your seat back. Thank you so much. Now I would like to request our chief guest, Professor Saraswati ma'am, to please give away the certificates. First of all, we have Priyangshu Das. Sanjeevan Das. Neha Nongme Kapam. Farha. Dr. Farha Yasmin Rahman. Vikreno Kelio. Sneha Sharma. Sneha Sharma. Dr. Tatini Ghosh. Neha Nongme Kapam. Jemina Barbara CM. Neha Bikar. Chandrabala Yumnam. hurry up. Ibadondor Nongse. Shivangi Sanganeria. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to request our Dean in charge, ma'am, Dr. Pratiti Bauman, to give away the certificates. First off, we have Himashmita Deka. Himashmita Deka. Happy Baglari. Dr. Rizwan Ahmed. Dr. Rizwan Ahmed. Then we have Uday Hajong. Next up we have Babita Begum Chaudhary. Rajeshwari Soram. Rajeshwari Soram. Ritvik Goswami. Minakshi Das. Ishwar Luthil. Kamjila. That is all. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, just a second. We had Shantanu Sharma joining us in late. So, sir, please, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Congratulations once again to all the participants. Now, to bring the ceremony to a close, I now invite Dr. Sagarika Mahanta Das, co-convener of the conference, to deliver the vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
No duty is more urgent than giving thanks, as said by James Allen, the famous British philosophical writer. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Sagarika from the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. As we draw the curtain on the two-day National Conference on Sustainable Development Goals and Community Engagement towards Mitigating Local and Global Crises, organized in hybrid mode by the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in collaboration with the IQAC of Assam Downtown University, It's my great honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks as the co-convener and on behalf of the organizing committee. First and foremost, I extend our sincere gratitude to our Honorable Chancellor Sir, who has already graced the occasion on the day one. Then we are having our Vice Chancellor Sir, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Sir, Dean of Studies Madam, Registrar Sir, Trustee Members, Management of EDITU for their unwavering support, encouragement and inspiring leadership in enabling us to organize this academic initiative. We are immensely grateful to our distinguished keynote speakers. Day one, we had Dr. R. Murugesan, Director of National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, Northeast Regional Center, Guwahati. And today we are having Professor Saraswati ma'am with us who is from OKD Institute of Social Change and Development. Plenary speakers and sessions chairs, all the invited guests for sharing their profound insights and expertise. Your perspectives have not only enriched our understanding of the sustainable development goals, but also illuminated pathways for meaningful community engagement in tackling local and global challenges. A heartfelt thanks to all the paper presenters, participants and delegates, whether present in person or joining us online, for your active involvement and thoughtful discussions. Your contributions made this conference truly vibrant and intellectually stimulating. We sincerely acknowledge the efforts of the event management team, technical team, and IT support staff who ensured the seamless execution of the hybrid sessions and virtual interactions across time zones. To the entire faculty, research scholars, student volunteers of Faculty of Humanities of Social Sciences, and administrative staff of EDITU, thank you very much for your tireless efforts, coordination, and teamwork in every phase of this conference. We are also very grateful to the members of IQAC, whose constant guidance and quality benchmarks strengthen the academic rigor of this event. Last but not the least, our deepest thanks to all the attendees, well-wishers, and institutional partners who made this two-day conference a grand success with your presence and encouragement. Let us carry forward the insights, collaborations, and spirit of this event into our everyday action and academic endeavors. Thank you all once again, and we look forward to meeting you in our future academic engagements. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As we step out of this room, concluding the two-day event, I would like to remind us all of this beautiful quote that says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Let us continue to engage, collaborate, and work together towards sustainable solutions today and always. Before we disperse, may I kindly request everyone to please rise for the state anthem of Assam, a moment of pride and reverence for our land, our culture, and our shared identity.
Oh everyone. Let us all give a huge round of applause to all